The father and daughter who escaped the White Island eruption with just minutes to spare. Pastor Jeff and Leilani Hopkins were visiting the island as part of a birthday present for Jeff. What followed was a rescue mission that will stay with them for the rest of their lives. Their tour boat returned to the island to help injured survivors. A short time ago, Jeff and Leilani spoke with Steve Marshall.
I can't imagine the pain that they were going through, and nothing you could do other than try and keep them warm and keep them alive.
And I've never seen so much tragedy and so much, I guess, disaster in one small space, and it changed in a split second.
I'm not one to cry, but I've cried a lot the last 3 days.
If it was minutes before, I would have been on the island, and probably 30 minutes earlier I was stood on the edge of the crater.
It was a milestone trip, a 50th birthday present Leilani Hopkins had planned for her dad, Pastor Jeff Hopkins. It marked 24 years since he last visited this volcanic island. Leilani's dream as a geography student to one day become a volcanologist.
We were just reminiscing, Leilani and I, about the great day.
But Mother Nature is an unpredictable beast. They'd spent an hour and a half touring the island, taking selfies, standing on the edge of the crater, boarding their boat only minutes before that fatal eruption.
It was a close call, too close really.
We just went round to the next bay, which was just hundreds of metres away, not far, and just to get one last shot of looking up towards the crater. I'm then on the seaward side of the island on the boat, and I'm just alerted by people on the boat gasping, wowing. It was unusual, which made me turn around and look. And as I turned around and looked, there was just this plume of grey and white ash and steam just rising high above the island.
And then the ash started to roll over the rocks and came down kind of like a cliff face towards the boat. And at that point it sunk in what had actually happened.
My first reaction was, wow, that's awesome. It's just erupted in front of us.
When did the wow factor turn to concern for your fellow travellers?
Within seconds, the ash cloud started to roll over the top of the cliff and down towards the sea. I think just in that moment, we just realised it went from wow to crikey, that we knew there were people on the island. We'd seen them as we'd just been past that bay, and just turned to a shock moment.
The captain told us to get inside immediately, so we all ran inside, and I still was kind of amazed. So by the time we got inside and sat down, the island was completely covered in ash. You couldn't see it.
And at that stage, the crew started motoring back to where we'd started, back to where we came from. Their colleagues, workmates were in the other boat. They were well aware that there was a boat with a full party still on the island.
It was then into survival mode and rescue mode, and my first instinct was to help.
The other boat that was moored in the bay was perfectly covered in grey ash. We could see the broken helicopter, and also we could see there were people in the water. There were people swimming away from the island, and there were people down on the island on the water's edge.
One of the crew came in and asked for any doctors, anyone with any medical background, anyone at all. So me and Dad went and said, we're first aid trained, can we help? And she said, yes, we've got multiple burn victims, we need all the help we can get. Originally I thought it would be eye wash, a few burns, but nothing major. I walked out and I'd never seen anything like it. And I think from that point onwards, I was just helping any way that I could. We were dressing people's wounds, stopping bleeding from head injuries, clearing people's airways, clearing their eyes from ash so they could see. And I'd never seen anything like it. I've never seen people burnt that bad I've never seen people scream in so much pain.
You're a local pastor. You must have said a prayer on board the boat.
I was with the critical, and yeah, absolutely. You know, praying for that these people are going to get through this, and also for the people that were still left on the island.
You must be proud of your daughter.
Very, very. When we were separated on the boat, so for an hour and 20 minutes, I didn't see her, but I know her, and complete confidence that she was at the back of the boat. She was praying with people. She, when they ran out of water, she was just trying to comfort. She was singing to some people just to take their mind off the environment and the pain that they were in. Yeah, just something inside knew that she was safe, that she was coping. But it's now looking after her even more, because this is the, you know, looking after her in the days afterwards of when we've got to look after each other.
Their heroic efforts delivered 23 patients back to the dock and into the arms of emergency services.
It's going to take a while to get through, but our thoughts and prayers are with those that are injured and still in hospital, and for those that didn't make it.
I've probably only had about 3 hours sleep in the last 2 days, and yeah, every time I close my eyes I just think back to that moment of seeing people's faces in so much pain and knowing there was not really anything I could do to help them.
Is Lilani still going to be a geologist?
Yeah, it hasn't changed what she loves about the earth and how it works, but she's learned a whole new level of respect for what it can do. Unexpectedly, yeah.
Well, I know there's several countries who are in your debt, so you know, thank you very much, and thanks for the chat.
Thank you.
Remarkable. And Steve Marshall joins me now from Hamilton. Steve, many of the survivors saved by Jeff and his daughter are still tonight there fighting for their lives.
Good evening, Leila. That's right. Some of them Australians who have been brought here to the Waikato Hospital, about a 2-hour drive from Whakatane, where they are receiving the best possible care New Zealand has to offer. Now, that specialised treatment is now set to continue in Australia. Prime Minister Scott Morrison a short time ago announced a repatriation plan for the injured Aussies. Over the next 24 hours, some 10 Australian patients will be transferred to hospitals in New South Wales and Victoria. Patients will be prioritised on the severity of their wounds, obviously, and 3 Australian Air Force planes are now on their way to New Zealand to help with that effort. So, Leila, after more than 2 days of anxious worry, finally a little bit of good news for Aussie families.
OK, Steve, thank you very much.